In this episode of Foundry Talks, I chat with Jasmine Seliga, founder of Affixify, a platform that helps hoteliers cut through the noise and find tech solutions that actually work. We talk about the challenges hotels face when adopting new technology, why implementation matters just as much as the tool itself, and how team culture plays a huge role in getting it right. Jasmine also shares her vision for supporting businesswomen and what she sees coming next in the hospitality and tech space. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Foundry Talks. I'm Rachel Stoyanovsky, and today I am joined with Jasmine Seliga, who is the founder of Affixify. So Jasmine, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. We're so excited to have you on and chat with you a little bit more. For people who may not be super familiar with Affixify, we'd love to know just if you can share your story behind Affixify, what inspired you to start it, and a little bit about your personal background.
Thank you. Yeah. So Affixify, I'll get into what we do, but we are a startup. We are about a year into our launch, which is awesome. And gosh, it's hard to know where to start, but background wise, I graduated from Baylor University in 2012 and literally that afternoon packed up my car and moved home. And 2 days later,
Oh my gosh.
started an internship with a hotel technology company and
Amazing.
never looked back. I didn't think that would be my story. Like we never think, right?
Yeah.
But that was my
Yeah.
story. And I stayed on. So I had planned to do this internship, move to Chicago after, and move into medical sales. And I just fell in love with our industry. And so
Yeah.
I went to high tech that summer as an intern, and it just all wove together from there. So that is kind of how I got into hospitality.
Yeah.
On a personal front, I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 3 boys. Awesome husband, live in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm on this crazy startup journey. So that's a very brief 2 seconds about who I am. Affixify is a matchmaking platform for hoteliers to find tech, essentially. Also, they can,
which they're all desperately in need of.
Yes, it is. Yes. And we recently added amazing agencies like you guys, the Foundry and consultants and advisors. So we're really migrating into being a true connector platform for our industry. And it is a wild ride. So that's our quick elevator pitch.
I love it. That's amazing. Was it so when you took the internship, because I didn't realize until just now that you had initially wanted to go into medical sales, were you just going to do that just for a little while? You're like, oh, I just need to do something. And then, obviously we're going to go into medical. How did that, what was your initial reaction to going into that industry?
Yeah. So it was so funny how, it's funny how things work. I was 23, very set in my ways. And now I see it was very providential, but the only reason I even took an internship in hospitality was because I couldn't, every job I was interviewing for fell through. It really made no sense at the time. I've always been a worker. I was interviewing like crazy. And I called my dad my senior year of college and I said, I can't get a job. And he's like, well, I found you an internship through a friend of his who was the CEO of this company. And it's in hotel technology. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to do an internship. I'm finishing my degree. And he goes, well, it doesn't sound like you have much more of a choice. So gotta love my dad. To this day, he credits I'm the reason you're doing all of this. But
he's like, you're welcome.
Yeah, right. And so I thought, well, I have to do this. I have to do something. And I just thought I'll get the experience under my belt and then I'll start interviewing, for medical type sales roles. But it just didn't happen that way because once I got into hospitality, you know how it is. You really can't
you just
leave it.
Fall in love.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So when thinking about starting Affixify, what gap did you see in the hospitality tech market that no one else was solving? I mean, I'm sure kind of seeing this need is what spurred the idea. So I'd love to hear just a little bit more about how that came to be.
Yeah, I love that you asked that because the whole thing came about that, I had all of these years experience of helping hotels figure out. At that time, I sold a marketing technology. So we did really high-end resort email marketing through a tech platform. And I left the industry. Actually, we went through, this is a bit of a side story, but it gets us to where we need to be. So that company, it was called Digital Alchemy. I was pregnant with my first son and we sold the company. I was on the team that helped with the acquisitions and had my first son, sold the company. 6 months later, found out I was having my second son, and we were sold again. So in a
Oh my
year,
goodness.
we had 2 acquisitions, and then I was, going to be a mom of 2 boys. So
Yeah.
I stepped back on my own. We were sold to Amadeus, so of course, industry giant. And I just said, I
Hmm.
need a minute. So I ended up staying home
Yeah.
for 18 months. Well, that was the
Okay.
pandemic. And so that was a huge blessing.
Yeah.
And I was
Oh
home
yeah.
with my kids. And so I come back
Yeah.
to the industry with this mission of I am going to be a consultant to help tech companies sell their product better and really do a better job. Well, I start getting
Yeah.
all of these inquiries, right? Of, oh my gosh, like can you hook us up with hotel leads? Do you have people that you know are
Yeah.
needing this tech? And I started to
Yeah.
think like, I don't like this because how do I know these hard-earned relationships that I've worked so many years to build that if I call my friend at Hotel XYZ and say, talk to this technology provider, is that really the best provider or is it
Yeah.
because I have an incentive? And so I
Yeah.
quickly learned, and I say this kindly because I think there's a place for ambassador programs, but I quickly learned that
Yeah.
it's very hard for hoteliers to navigate what is really like a true fit for them and then what's in like
Yeah.
a pay to play marketing fluff
Yeah.
situation. And so the need I figured I would address initially was let's get hoteliers honest and a more honest way to find tech that's right for them. But then I uncovered this whole other issue of like the tech ecosystem at large in hospitality is so fragmented that our tool actually
Yeah.
addresses that too. And then, we've probably
Yeah.
found 20 more things we're solving that we didn't plan on. But that was kind of the initial heart behind it was like a better way to connect
Yeah.
people in an honest way that wasn't just this person's paying me a lot of money, so I'm going to tell you to talk to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. No, it's just like, I mean, if you're working in house at a hotel, and someone's like, I need your recommendations for dinner. It's like you want the actual places that are going to take care of your guests. You know what the experience is going to be. Because the last thing you want to do is recommend something and then they go and have a terrible experience. And they're like, why would you even suggest that? So it's so in line with that.
Exactly. We want authenticity. And I mean, you
Yeah.
know this, of course, as a marketer, but in the world of influencers, like I personally am very influenced, right? Like a lot of my
Yeah.
purchases come from
Yeah.
people I follow on my personal accounts, but you want
Yeah.
to know those are trustworthy. And so
Yeah.
that was really my heart. And of course, to be honest, I absolutely love connecting people. So to
Yeah.
basically productize that was a really cool thing too. So yeah, there's a lot of
No.
reason behind it, but
Yeah. Well, and even just in our interactions with the team, we've just felt like, man, you are like a living, breathing model of your mission,
thank
just
you.
connecting everyone and not, it's just, I think that is something that a lot of times people feel like, I need to gatekeep this or I need to hold this information back for my competitor and just sharing all of that kind of information. Everyone's going to do something different with it and there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
So I love that approach.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
It's true. I think that we have been shown so much kindness in our journey. I never want to gatekeep anything. I'm like, take all of,
Yeah.
all of my connections. And
Yeah.
that's how the world works, right? Is like really great
Yeah.
authentic connections. So I love that. We've
Yeah.
loved working with you guys so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just is, I think you feel so much more secure making that decision if it's from the recommendation is from someone you really trust and
Right.
a reputable source.
Right.
It's like, okay, I know they've had success. I know they have a good relationship with them. I feel so much more comfortable to just even reach out, even have the call, even take the demo, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Early on, were there any moments or feedback that really affirmed you were on the right track with what you guys were building?
Absolutely. So I love that too. We really went into it. I tell people this often pretty naively, to be honest. I didn't go to business school to be an entrepreneur. I never planned
Yeah.
this. So it's kind of funny in a way that I came in very blind and I just thought, well, like, let's just do this. And so I didn't follow your typical steps that a startup founder would follow.
Yeah.
Now I'm a part of different founder communities and I hear all these things about like
Yeah.
product market fit and have you done this and focus groups and I'm like nope, did not do any of that. We
Yeah.
just went for it. But what was so
Yeah.
cool in that is that high tech Toronto, yep, so that would have been 3 high techs ago, I went by
Yeah.
myself. I was still consulting and I did some key meetings. No one knew what we were doing. I just sat down with
Yeah.
people I trusted, both hoteliers
Yeah.
and vendors and some consultants. And I just said, like, I just want to share what we're doing, not like the idea, like
Yeah.
we're doing this. And
Yeah.
never once did someone say that's not going to work. And to this day, never, not even one time. And I've had hundreds of conversations at this point. I've
Yeah.
never once had someone say that's a bad idea. Now I've had people have questions, right? People are
Yeah.
critical. That's not it. But I have
Yeah.
had more affirmation than I could have imagined. And I'm so grateful for that because I didn't
Amazing.
really know that I should do all of the research and all of that. I will say I even had
Yeah.
a hotel group that year in Toronto tell me, we will wait for you to find our PMS. That's how desperately we
Wow.
need this type of tool. So I
Yeah.
knew early on, I had a good sense that this was going to be something that was a hit. Now it still took time, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. So, going into, what hotels are actually looking for now, what kind of technology are hotels asking for? Is there something that is like super popular right now that's really high in demand? And I'm sure that has kind of changed. What people have wanted is shifting just as the world changes.
yeah. Yeah. I laugh because so AI, like I'm on LinkedIn all the time. That's a big platform for us. You
Yeah.
hear a lot about AI, and I'm here to break some news. So AI is not now the results of what AI can do and the what it can achieve, that's a different thing. But we don't get onto
Yeah.
calls every single day and people say, like, show me your latest AI tools. I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
hoteliers are not there yet. Now, if
Yeah.
there's a goal they can achieve through an AI platform, that's different. Talking
Yeah.
about what the real needs are right now, and yes, it does evolve, it does change. I'm seeing a few key trends. So, we have
Yeah.
had a ton of people interested in sales and catering tools. Now, interestingly,
Mm,
that's a bit longer of a decision cycle than I expected. We've had a lot
yeah.
of recent, even this week, we had matches to our BI tools. We've had a lot of interest in
Okay.
upgrade upsell. So, what I'm
Yeah.
seeing, those are signals of what are the additional platforms on top of the PMS or the table stakes systems
Hmm.
that we need to be implementing. And these are large
Yeah.
groups coming to us wanting
Yeah.
these systems. This week
Yeah.
alone, we had a brand looking at upgrade platforms. Last week
Yeah.
and the week before, we had management companies looking at upgrade platforms. So
Amazing.
there's a need. And then a
Yeah.
trend, but I don't know that this is a trend or just cyclical. We do see this. We're seeing some PMS RFPs start to be discussed. And so I think
Yeah.
people are wanting to know what's new, what's out there. Let's get rid of
Yeah.
antiquated ways. So that's exciting too. But I will say, I always get a chuckle out of, we talk a lot about AI on our own
Yeah.
show as well. And I love it. I think there's a place
Yeah.
for it, but to be honest, we do not, no one's beating down our door wanting AI tools right now. So,
I am.
we'll
Yeah.
see. In a
Yeah.
year, ask me in a year, it might be completely different.
It might be different. Yeah. We'll have you back on in a year and see
Yeah.
your answers changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I feel like my days of working in house, we had so many systems that had so much opportunity, but it seemed so difficult to have them all talk together effectively. And even if they didn't connect together perfectly, it was like, okay, well, we get this information from this and this information from this. And it was just so confusing. So I'm sure that's even going into, the increase of inquiries for sales and catering tools, because that is a huge thing. Like, what are we doing with these requests? These are not technically guests staying overnight. It's a different way to manage that information.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The inner,
What are the most, oh, go
no,
ahead.
no,
Sorry.
I was just going to say the interface world, and for us too, we have not mastered it. I think some
Yeah.
people are under the guise that we can tell them, like, here's your puzzle put together with every interface. We're not even there yet, but we at least are
Yeah.
able to help people understand who integrates to who does not. And
Yeah.
even that, I mean, we laugh sometimes when we see, like, some of our vendors. We just discovered a vendor that had our old company that sold 8 years ago still listed as an available
Yeah.
integration, and we're like, but it's actually not. So it's just hard. It's different
Yeah.
in hospitality for sure.
No, and I feel like we would come up all the time. We'd find something and we're like, okay, this is going to be amazing. And we do all the calls and we thought we knew what we were getting into. And then we'd actually get it and we'd be like, oh, that big thing that we were really hoping would work, we're just in a unique situation. And so that doesn't even work for us
Yeah.
all the time. So to just have someone that's an expert in the field and can really advise and make those connections to like, no, this is actually going to work for
Right.
you. That's just like
I
invaluable.
love that. Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
we exist is, and it's all through an algorithm. So we're not using our
Yeah.
opinions. It's truly
Yeah.
saying, what are your needs? And here
Right.
is exactly what, you should be looking at. So, and of course,
Yeah. I
advisors and
love that.
agencies to come in and provide
Mm-hmm.
expertise as well, because that was a missing piece we did not have initially. There would be times I would be talking to, you'd be surprised at some of the names of resorts that I've talked to where I'm like,
Yeah.
they need some help. And I am not the one that can sit and do this. And so we started sourcing, amazing people to help with all of those things to
Yeah.
bring in, because it's a tough landscape to navigate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Totally. It is. What are the most common barriers for hotels to adopt new tech? And how do you and your team help them overcome that?
So then the number one barrier is time. And I think that sounds, I think you would understand as well as anyone as a
Yeah.
hotelier, but I am shocked because I think there is a lack of maybe complete understanding, but that's because of time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
I say this, you'll hear me say this almost anytime I'm doing a recording or a podcast, is most people got into hospitality for amazing experiences, not because they cared as much about the technology behind it.
Totally.
And so a lot of these properties, these groups, they put off tech enhancements or tech modernization because they don't have the
Yeah.
time. They want to focus
Yeah.
on this amazing guest experience, and it's just not as interesting. Now, when we get into the larger groups, there are dedicated team members for this, but
Yeah.
ultimately, I think it is a challenge. It's just, I
Yeah.
mean, I've had a luxury group tell me about a year ago that they were 12 months into a new tech stack they were already replacing because they didn't use the proper amount of time that was needed
Mm.
in order to really make the decisions they need. And that's just unfortunately
Yeah.
what we see. So time is number one. We helped out a ton. I mean, we have done light case studies. I wouldn't say we've gone as deep as I would like to into the data, but
Yeah.
where we believe on average, like even in that first RFP search process per system, we save 13 to 15 hours just in creating a
Amazing.
requirements list. So
Yeah.
multiply that by multiple systems, multiply that, and then you look at salaries and what you'd be paying someone to do that and taking that off their
Mm-hmm.
plate. It's pretty substantial. So time
Yeah.
saving 100%. And then we have a real passion towards just unbiased education, because I think that's the other thing we
Mm-hmm.
hear a lot. And I'd love to hear your
Mm-hmm.
take on this, but people don't always know where to look, because if you Google, you're
Yeah.
going to get, who's paying to have that spot. If you go to
Yeah.
certain blogs and article pages, it's the top 10 tech. Well, who paid to have those spots?
Yeah.
And there's a
Totally.
lot of confusion. And so, in that regard, we have a commitment to zero pay to play. And really, I mean, on our own, blog, and just like you guys are doing, we don't make
Yeah.
anybody, we just share what's out there, what's awesome, what's going on, and no one's paying for
Yeah.
that. We just do it because we want people to have a educational
Have the
resource.
information. Yeah. No, that's exactly what happens. And going back just to time, it's especially if you're a smaller hotel, maybe you don't have the bandwidth to have a whole team dedicated to implementing this, but most places will have at least an IT department. But those people also traditionally don't have the operational experience at a hotel and dealing with guests. And so you task certain teams with, okay, you find the tech and you implement it, but they don't even really know what to look for. Like they can know face value what they're saying it can do, but it really takes, I think, an operational person to understand the intricacies of what all the little things that you have to do and if it's going to work. And you nailed it. I mean, the time, it's like, okay, well, I've got all of these guests. These are all the things I need to do. When am I going to have an extra 13 to 15 hours to really dive deep to see if something like this is going to work for us?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
no.
I think too, you mentioned adoption and implementation. We see
Mm-hmm.
that, and I have a specific expert that I work with, Jody Jacobson, and her whole job is to help with correct implementation. And the reason is
Amazing.
that she was a hotelier for many years, and she tells us that
Mm-hmm.
you can even choose really great tech, but then she'll see people go down the line and implement incorrectly for what they needed, and it
Yeah.
doesn't work at all. And so she's having to
Yeah.
untie those knots. this and redo it.
And fix
So there's
it.
a
Yeah.
lot. I think that at times vendors, because I've been one, so I've been in this boat,
Yeah.
are under this assumption that if they do a really great demo and they answer all the questions and they get the deal, awesome. But that is actually only where it begins for the hotelier. And now the hotelier really has to make sure this is done correctly. It has adoption by the team, that it
Yeah.
doesn't interrupt their day to day. I mean, it's so much. And so
So
I've,
much.
I've learned a lot about that too in this process that I maybe didn't know from the vendor's perspective in my day, if you will.
So does she go and like multiple times, or does she just go at the beginning of implementation, or is she available for additional questions? Because that is just such an amazing offering.
It is amazing. From what I know, she actually she likes to be in on when they're doing like the RFP process, just so
Yeah.
she understands like what is going on. And I think the
Yeah.
later people bring her in the process, the more challenging it is. So I think she actually
Yeah.
likes to be in at the beginning, but I mean, she's the expert. She
Yeah.
worked for Great Wolf for a long time and she can come in
Amazing.
and just untangle the mess. So highly
Yeah.
recommend
That's
Jody.
so
We love
great.
Jody.
Yeah. Yeah. We implemented a food and beverage software, and you just don't know the things that were going to come up. So we had someone that was there and assisted us, and it was great. But then a couple weeks went by and we're like, wait a second, how we ring up the omelet, these need to change. Like, this is so different. Like, we need to fix this. And so to have someone that, can really assist with all of that as you're implementing new tech is just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a need. And I think there's a growing openness for our industry to bring in outside expertise to really help with those projects.
Yeah. All right. So we talked a little bit about AI, but are there any trends or other innovations that are really exciting you at the moment?
I have a hard time with that one. So definitely, right? Like we get to see and hear a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
I have a really honest answer. I don't know if the audience will love this answer, but I have very rarely seen things that I feel like are just like, oh, that's innovative. That's really cool. I think a lot of people are doing a great job modernizing what has worked in the past. I think there's a lot of companies out there with incredible marketing and they're getting their message out better. I do think there are some AI tools that are going to be really, really awesome, but I might be disappointing some people here, but I don't know that there's anything right now that I think has just blown us out of the water, never seen before. I do think there's some cool modernization going on though. And there is one cool, really awesome tool. If you're familiar with the company Yippy, Yipy,
I'm not.
Adam Tuttle, I believe he was Four Seasons, I think, or Ritz for a long time, one of those. And he has created standards management so that if you're going for Forbes rating and you actually have a tool now to be able to track that, those are the types of things. Hey, it may not be like the sexiest thing ever, but it's working and it's helpful. And it has a huge impact. So those types of platforms like Levy doing a modernization, housekeeping, that I think is awesome. But I think we've yet to see someone come in and just like people want to do the all-in-one, out of the box, does everything. Cloudbeds does that pretty well, but we got some ways to go with hospitality.
Modernization though is huge. Like that's amazing that there is a lot of companies that are tackling that because it just is a need for just as all the reasons that you already said. It is such a slow process to get things moving. And so a lot of stuff is just so outdated. And so just even to have things, be moving in the right direction, maybe a little bit of a quicker speed is really great to see. So with you and Affixify, what is the focus right now? Are there new products or partnerships or scaling?
So much. Yeah.
All of the above.
I know. So it's so funny. There are definitely things happening. Because I'm on LinkedIn all the time, there's always things that I'm like, oh, I wish I could like say this, but I can't. But I mean, there's a lot going on. So just base product level, this is the biggest growth spurt we've ever had, which is really exciting. Amazing. We're seeing like this week, we made new matches almost every single day between hotelier and vendor. People are really catching on, and we had our biggest hotel group sign up this week, like in number of hotels under one sign up, I should say. So really, really exciting time. So just for any founder growing your baseline product and it's actually working, awesome. And then we
Huge. Yeah.
have some other things in the works that I'll share soon that will definitely be that the cool part is we didn't just come up with this particular thing. Someone came to us and we're working with somebody on it. So I think you would mention like, what's my
Awesome.
dream collab? Like what's happening in the
Yeah.
behind the scenes is my dream right now. So I can't wait to share
Oh,
more. I
amazing.
wish I could. And I'm like not being
Yeah.
coy intentionally. We just can't. But
Yeah.
we have a
Yeah.
lot. So this is our biggest growth spurt. But honestly, I think the industry is seeing a lot right now. It's not just us. I mean,
Yeah.
I've talked to friends, consultants, advisors that are saying this is the busiest they've ever been. So it's encouraging for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so when we have you back on in a year to talk about a different answer, we'll also want the full scoop on all of this too.
I know. I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said anything, but yeah, it's a cool time.
It's
It's a
great.
really exciting time, especially, for those of us next week going to high tech and getting
Yeah.
to see people. So
Yeah. So with all of this growth and still being a relatively young company, how do you continue to build team culture and align on values when things are moving at such a quick pace?
yeah, I truly I have a couple things. So my co-founder Stephanie and I, we are 100% like same values, same beliefs,
Yeah.
and I think that's where it has to start. So for anybody
Hmm.
starting a business or wanting to go in with a business partner, I can't imagine doing it with somebody who has a different set of values and beliefs.
Yeah.
She and I would say that's kind of the root, right? So we are a faith-based
Yeah.
company. So for us, we do daily, every single morning at 9 o'clock, we do a daily check-in
Yeah.
prayer time discussion. And then that
Love it.
ripples out. And
Yeah.
she has, I have to give Stephanie incredible credit here. So she has way more experience in running teams. I have much more experience being kind of like the outside facing person. We
Hmm.
were VPs together at our company too. So we've worked together from that day I started my internship. I've never not had
Yeah.
her in my career.
That's awesome.
And she is an expert too. Like she'll come to me and say like, okay, we only have 6 of us. It's a small business. But she'll say like, we
Yeah.
really need to do this, or hey, I foresee this being good for the team. And I
Yeah.
keep an open mind and we go for it. And so I think
Yeah.
having those values, having those beliefs, being on the same page, we talk through, pray through, get advice on things we may not know the right answer to. And
Yeah.
then culture wise, I really lean on her because she has a lot of experience in building culture. Lastly is
Yeah.
authenticity. I just I've learned I used to try to wear this veil or mask when I ran a team of like this
Yeah.
isn't, I was very professional. And it
Hmm.
just I didn't have that. I have one really great bond with someone that used to work with me, but I think it's a
Yeah.
hindrance when we're not really upfront. And so we actually
Yeah.
do, started by Stephanie, every Friday struggles and successes update in our team Slack. And every person,
Love
not only
that.
do we share the success of the week, we share what we struggled with. And I think that
Yeah.
creates a very open environment of saying, like, just because I'm not going to lie to you, right? Like, these are the struggles of this
Yeah.
week. I mean, this week I
Yeah.
just told him right before this podcast, I said, like, my
Yeah.
struggle is balancing my 3 kids being home during a business growth spurt,
During
right? It's
summer. Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I could go on, and I probably went on too long, but basically,
No, not at all.
I think it starts together, it starts from the top and just being
Yeah.
really open with the team. There's been times where we weren't growing like I was hoping, and weeks where I was a little worried in the beginning, and I
Hmm.
just told them, like, hey, this may
Yeah.
not be exactly what we thought. And now it's fun because we can like celebrate.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think in the past there was kind of this understanding that you leave everything at the door, right? And you just come in. And I think to some degree, especially if you're guest facing, you still have to be professional and do that. But at least with your team to be able to share those things, struggles and wins,
yes.
it just I think it just makes a culture where you're recognized as a whole person
Yes.
and you feel valued in a different way. And I think when you come in and you're just always, yep, I'm just always on, it doesn't feel authentic. And I think it starts to wear on the employee. And so to just have the opportunity to be who they are and to be able to be open and setting that you and Stephanie setting that example, it just is automatically going to create almost like a safe space for everyone,
Yeah. Yes.
It's awesome.
I mean, I don't think, and you guys are a great team too of founders. I just don't think a
Yeah.
startup can thrive. You can't go from being a startup to super corporate. Like that is not our vision. We
Yeah.
tell it all. And on Monday nights we do like a leadership call and we show up in t-shirts, hair back. Like no one's
Yeah.
wearing, their best here.
Yeah.
We're here and we're showing up and yeah, it's working for us.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Well, we always share our wins before our weekly meeting, but I'll have to take that back to the team. We also need to share our struggles.
It does. And it's kind of nice because at times we offer advice. At times we resonate like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. So we
Yeah.
definitely, it's been a cool thing that we've implemented.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, for you and Stephanie to be leading the team, it's probably nice to kind of get that insight from the team right then and there and on a weekly basis. And if there's something that you can address and change, that's great. I think so much of, in my experience, no one was ever asking. And so you
Well,
kind of built up all of these frustrations and, well, no one even cares if I say anything. So to just be able for them to feel heard and then you guys be able to address anything that can be is awesome.
well, yeah. And I think you're spot on in a traditional environment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a millennial. I was just totally brought up in a very different light. And like if you had an
Mm-hmm.
issue, you really had to hype yourself up and prepare with the facts to go talk to your manager.
I
And I'm like, I
know.
hate that. Like, we should just take people at their word. You're having a hard time. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it. So it is a
Yeah.
different paradigm for sure. It's a shift.
Yeah. A good shift.
Yeah. Yes.
So, if there are any hotel GMs or maybe marketing directors who are tuning in, and this may be a tricky question, but what is one piece of advice you'd offer them when evaluating their tech stack?
So, yeah, actually, I love this question. And my number one piece of advice is don't wait to include your team because your
Mm,
frontline team is going to be able to tell
yeah,
you not only what do they want to be different, but actually what do they want
yeah,
to stay the same? Because I have found
yeah,
as much as you have a problem needing solved and you need these things changed or you need these capabilities, you can't take
yeah,
away things that are already working, which you risk in making a
yeah,
system change. So if you want that long-term adoption, do not wait to get your team involved and tell them that you're going to make a change. And then the second piece of advice I would give is do not hesitate to bring in an expert. So hire,
yeah,
an agency, hire a consultancy.
yeah,
It is worth it in the long run than the money that can be lost by incorrect processes in this whole thing. So those would be my top two.
yeah. No, implementing your staff is such a good recommendation. I mean, they are the ones that are going to be using it on a daily basis, and to have their buy-in one, it will help you maybe not make a mistake choosing a product that's not actually going to work for you. But if it is something that's going to work for you, the team's buy-in right from the get-go will be valuable because it'll go that much smoother, that much quicker. They'll be excited about it. So that's such a good recommendation.
Yes.
So, what kind of partners are you guys looking for? How can travel brands and agencies better work with companies like you?
So that's a good question. Right now, we are really just expanding into this connector platform. So when it comes to partners, of course, new technology, that's, one of the biggest things that we're
Yeah.
implementing. But we are also now, as I mentioned, looking for consultants that really want to partner with us. And we are soon to add management
Yeah.
companies. So we have had some serious interest from management
Amazing.
groups that would like to
Yeah.
be in our platform to connect with independents maybe that need managing or
Yeah.
franchisees. So that is a really exciting addition.
Yeah.
So truly we're getting and we've actually just opened up the platform to where vendors can now request conversations. So really if
Amazing.
anybody hospitality focused, we probably have a place for you right
Yeah.
now. And of course, hoteliers,
Amazing.
the platform is totally free to use for hotels. So come on, come on. We're
Yeah.
we're seeing
Amazing.
success with that model, so
Yeah.
we don't plan to change it.
That's awesome. And so if they are interested, they just head over to Affixify and fill out their information and then they get followed up with, or what's the next step for them to take?
Yes, that's a great question. So you can reach out to me, Jasmine at getaffixify.com. I can get you hooked up with next steps. Of course, visit our website, getaffixify.com. And there are forms there as well. We are a round the clock team of real people. So we usually always are, on top of that and answering right away.
Awesome. Well, just to kind of some fun things to finish off our conversation, we would love to know the favorite hotel you've ever stayed at, or was there something that blew your mind from a tech or service perspective? A really wow moment.
Yes. Okay. Favorite hotel, hands down. I was very blessed to visit Hamilton Island, a group of resorts in Australia off the Great
Amazing.
Barrier Reef. My former company, we signed a deal with them to do their email marketing. This was about a decade ago, but we flew out as a team to do the kickoff of that partnership, and they treated us. I mean,
Amazing.
talk about, yeah, the properties were amazing. I mean, I can't even begin, but the
Yeah.
hospitality, because we met them in Sydney. They put us in a Four Seasons down, in Sydney, and
Yeah.
they took us to dinner. They showed us the city, and then we flew together to the island, and we stayed in, this beautiful resort overlooking. They took us, everybody gets a golf cart on this island. So, we had a golf
Amazing.
cart, we explored, we got to see Qualia, Qualia, which is their already extra luxury property, has like incredible views of the Great Barrier Reef. We saw dolphins. I think about this trip all the time. I've been around the world, and this is like next level. And they
You're
just,
like, when can I get back there?
yes, they treated us so well. So I would say they do incredible, in their technology is, I mean, they're just all of it, right? Their tech is wonderful.
Yeah.
They wow their guests because they really personalize. Like, they take personalization very seriously, and they don't let budget
Yeah.
get in the way of that. So that kind of answers
Yeah.
both. If I could, of all my travels, I've lived overseas, I would go back there in a heartbeat. So hi to my friend Mark. He was their VP of IT for a long time, and he just does the best job there.
That's awesome. So, okay, well, this maybe you already kind of answered that or this next question, but is there a piece of hotel tech that's been implemented that you like? This is the best. I love this. This is what I personally would recommend. I'm sure it's so specific to what each partner is looking for, but is there something that you just think like, wow, they do a great job?
That's a good question. I think any property that's leaning into upsell upgrade, because it's a mutual benefit, right? So it's the
Yeah.
guest gets something because you get extra things you may not have known about, and then the hotel sees the
Yeah.
additional revenue. I do think
Yeah.
that, and I don't know that I have a specific, but any property that is well enough connected to where you walk into the spa and they still know everything about
Mhm.
you, that can get you on one itinerary. I mean, those things matter. So, more of a general
Yeah.
example, but anybody doing that well and figuring it out, it has my vote.
Yeah, love it. I know we talked early on in one of our episodes, and Derek, one of our co-founders, he was sharing a favorite experience at a property, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, I would walk into the restaurant, and they would know who I was and how many kids I had, or I'd go out to the pool, just everything was so connected." And he's like, "Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like it's almost like magic. Like, how do they do that?" But
Yes.
there's so much that goes into that, and things that can help hotels achieve that, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is incredible. And I think our industry is doing a good job making sure that the guest experience is still incredible, even with tech. So, tech being the enhancement.
Hmm.
And I'm excited to
Yeah.
see where we take that.
That's awesome. So if you weren't building Affixify, what do you think you'd be doing now?
So, my kind of secondary dream, maybe I will do this someday, is to have a
Okay.
nonprofit for businesswomen that really helps them
Amazing.
with the resources they need to be successful. I always
Yeah.
make jokes, not really, they're real though. Is like there's a ton of resources. I love my guys out there, but there's a ton of resources for men. There's a ton of resources
Yeah.
for moms, but I've yet to find a
Yeah.
lot of resources for like working moms or working women that really want help thriving in the workplace. So we have a lot of talks
Yeah.
about that, Stephanie and I, about maybe, as we get this off the ground. I don't think my husband would let me do anything else right now. We're so busy, but launching this,
Yeah.
I want it to be a free resource for, like I think when I was 23 going into the workplace, what did I need to know? Like how would I have
Yeah.
handled certain things differently if I had had a mentor or, so
Hmm.
it's kind of my side passion is that. So we'll see if that ever takes off, but totally different, obviously, but here we are.
But aligned, because such a, in alignment with your story and your origins of how everything came to be. Had there been something like that, it, could have only benefited you. So that's amazing. We are excited to see what else you guys build and the
Thank
growth
you.
and everything that you have coming. Where now I really want to know what you can't tell us. So
I
I'm
know.
looking forward to those announcements.
Me too. As soon as I can, I will be shouting it from the rooftop. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jasmine, for being with us today. It was just such a pleasure to speak with you and learn more about what you're building and Affixify and how it is such an amazing solution for, the hospitality industry as a whole. So we're just so grateful to have had you on today.
thank you. Thank you guys for having me. We love being partnered with you guys. I absolutely love your work. I was on your Instagram this morning, like, oh, look at that. That's amazing. I mean, you guys are just doing amazing things. So I'm excited to keep
Oh,
connecting you
thanks.
all to people who can use the Foundry. I'm excited.
Yeah. Thank you again. And if you'd like to check out more episodes of Foundry Talks, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. All right, thanks, Jasmine.
Thank you.